Federation of Free Farmers Cooperatives. May I recognize now Raul Montemayor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nandito po ako. And thank you for inviting us. No? I would like to focus my contribution on rice, no? And focus also on how we can avoid or mitigate technical smuggling and undervaluation before the rice shipments leave the ports. No? Catching and charging the smugglers after their cargo has been released is very difficult, time-consuming, costly, and again, prone to corruption. Nagkakaayusan eh. If we are able to plug the loopholes in our rules and procedures, importers will be discouraged or prevented from misdeclaring or undervaluing their imports. And there will be less crooks to catch, and we will not have to spend too much time and effort going after them. So, mag-share lang po ako ng konting data about undervaluation sa rice. No? I'll share my screen now.
Sir, presentation quality, please.
Ganito po. Okay ba to? Is this okay?
Proceed.
Okay, sir. So, when the importation comes in, merong importer's declaration, and these are the basic data that they provide. No? Saan galing yung grade and variety, and then weight, price, and freight and insurance. No? At yung pong source country at saka yung grade and variety, yan po ang basihan ng Bureau of Customs para i-classify siya under what they call a tariff heading. No? Something like this po. No? Meron ito po yung weekly memoranda galing kay Commissioner Guerrero for every type of rice in source country. There is a reference price and there is also a tariff heading. No? 1006, 3030 for example. No? So, very important po yung declaration dahil yun po ang basihan kung saan nila hahanapin sa table yung tariff classification at saka yung reference price. No? And then they will compare the reference price with the price that is declared by the importer, particularly the FOB price. And then they can check for undervaluation. Napakasimpleng procedure po yan. No? Ko-compare mo lang yung presyo ng BOC against the declared price. If it's lower, then there is some evidence of undervaluation. No? At kung wala naman undervaluation, they proceed with the computation ng tariff, which is FOB plus freight and insurance. They come up with a CIF price and multiply by the tariff rate, then yung tariff ang babayaran. No? And according to the rules po, kung meron pong undervaluation at hindi satisfied ang customs sa explanation ng importer, the BOC is authorized to require the importer to deposit a bond equivalent to the difference in tariff that should be paid as against their computation. No? Ito po ay napaka-importanting portion ng procedure na sa tingin ko hindi nasusunod. Kaya napakatapang po ng mga importer mag-undervalue, kakausapin siguro yung examiner, din ganitong gawin natin, and then nakakalusot po sila. No? Let me give an example po. No? There are 4 major classifications of rice imports. Yun yung meron yung palay, 100610. Usually po ang pumapasok din ay mga seeds. No? And then you have the brown rice, so binalatan siya pero hindi pinaputi. That is 100620. And then most of the rice imports are actually 100630. Yan po yung mga 5%, 25%. And then there is a 4th classification, yung durog na bigas. And this is usually broken rice for animal feed. Very interesting po, when I look at the data from the ITC, which is very similar to Comtrade of the UN, lumalabas po na halos in 2020, halos lahat po ng importation natin from Vietnam ay 5% brokens. 5 to 25% brokens. But when these imports entered our country, ganito po ang classification ng BOC. Karamihan po ng pumasok ay broken rice. No? Na-classify as broken rice. No? And you will see it's a very big difference in volumes. No? They left Vietnam as 5% or 25% brokens. They arrived in the Philippines durog. No? And I will explain later why this has an impact on undervaluation. And makikita po rin dito, there is a 300,000 ton discrepancy in the total volume, it could be a sign of actual smuggling. No? Mas malaki yung lumabas sa Vietnam, mas maliit yung pumasok sa atin. No? I did a third analysis dahil when the importer makes their declaration, nilalagay po nila doon anong klase yung bigas nila. No? And most of them actually put in 5%, 25%. So you will see that based on the importer's declaration, medyo tumatama na siya sa ITC data. Pero ang problema, yung BOC classification, naka-classify pa rin siya as broken rice. Let me give you an example po. No? This is an actual shipment in December 2021, 80,000 bags of Vietnam 5% broken. Nilagay po ng importer 5%. No? Pero ang classification ng BOC, broken rice pa rin. No? Nilagay na nga 5%, nilagay pa rin sa broken rice. And the reference price of BOC for broken rice at that time was 308, whereas the declared value of the importer was 362 per ton. So, lalabas, hindi siya undervalued, overvalued pa nga, no? Based on the broken rice reference price. No? But if it was classified as 5% broken, which was declared by the importer, the reference price is $400 per ton based on the BOC memorandum. Undervalued po siya dahil 362 lang ang... So, ang gusto ko lang ipakita rito ay napaka-critical po yung classification system kasi that is where you will be able to determine undervaluation. And just for the single transaction, we lost 4 million pesos. No? One transaction lang po yan. No? I'll just skip through some other slide para mapabilis. Ito po, 2021, 5% brokens. Yan yung pinakamaraming inangkat natin noong 2021. Sa FOB price, FOB is the price from the port in Vietnam. No? Wala pang delivery cost. Ang total undervaluation ng shipment is about 4,000 pesos per ton. Pati po yung freight and insurance, ina-undervalue nila. In fact, there are so many shipments na wala po silang zero yung freight and insurance. Napaka-imposible naman na dumating dito na hindi nagbayad ng shipping. No? But they are undervalued by 997. And on the average po, the undervaluation is about $100 per ton, about 5,000 pesos. And when you compute the tariff due on that, we are losing 1,751 pesos per ton. Mukhang hindi naman malaki, but you multiply that by 1.9 million tons, ang nawala po sa gobyerno, 3.37 billion pesos. No? Just on imports of 5% brokens from Vietnam in 2021. Since 2019 po, ang estimate po namin, ang total loss ng gobyerno sa undervaluation, umaabot na po ng 10 billion pesos. Sa bigas lang po yun. No? Because of so many loopholes in our procedures. No? So, let me just go through very quickly.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Can you go back there? I cannot see 10 billion there.
2021 lang po ito. But we did the same analysis for 2019 when RTL started. And 2020, yun po yung total na nakukuha namin. No? I can supply the figures later. But you will see that for almost every variety, there is massive undervaluation. No? And when I was still observing the NFA bidding before for imports, yung variation po sa bidding price ng iba-ibang supplier, malaki na po yung $5 per metric ton. Yung agwat ng mga winning at saka losing bidder, $5 per metric ton. Ngayon po, ang average difference, $100 per metric ton, no? From the BOC reference price. No? So, napakalaki po yung kwan. And my worry is that the situation is getting worse over the years. No? Noong 2019, maliit pa. Pero ngayon, natututo na yung mga importer how to do it. Palaki ng palaki po yung undervaluation per ton. Yes, malaki po yung nakokolekta ng customs na tariff dahil dumadami yung import at nagmamahal. But if you go undervaluation or tariff loss per ton of shipment, lumalaki din po ang nawawala sa atin. No? So, itong mga suggestions po namin, 2019 pa lang, pinaabot na namin to sa BOC, sa DA, at sa mga senators. No? And I think some of you, congressmen. No?
Shipment inspection.
So ito po ay inuulit lang namin para magbigay ng parang report sa inyo. Ano nangyari dun sa mga recommendation? Because all of the recommendations po are designed so that bago po umalis yung bigas sa pier, wala nang undervaluation. So number one, kailangan sabihin ng importer ano yung grade at variety ng bigas niya. No? Hindi yun masyadong inistriktuhan ng BOC. So marami pa ring shipments na walang variety of grade. And pag walang variety or grade, paano mo ngayon itatama sa reference price saka sa tariff classification? So again, there is a lot of discretion now on the part of both the importer and the class examiner. Dito natin ilagay para hindi masyadong halata ang undervaluation. No? So in the CMTA, I saw this is a violation that could merit a criminal sanction. Yung non-disclosure of important information about your shipment. Bakit pinapayagan pa rin ng customs? No? Can we finally put a rest to this? Baka ang pwede po niyong gawin, lagay kayo ng parang sa computer system nyo, they will have to indicate the variety and grade. Otherwise, their papers will not be processed. Di ba? Pwede yun sa computer, di ba? Pag hindi mo nilagyan yung data, hindi ka uusad. No? And when the importer puts in the variety and grade, automatic na yung classification. Wala nang pakialam yung examiner. That could be very easily done. It could be automated para mabawasan nga yung discretion. No? Pangalawa po, sinasabi ng BOC, hindi nila alam kung paano i-distinguish yung 5%, 25%, saka 100% broken. So I hope you can see this. 5% means out of 100 na butil ng bigas, yung 5% o 5 pieces are broken. So halos lahat yan buo. No? 25% ganon. And napaka simple lang naman to distinguish between 5 and 100 kasi yung 100 wala po siyang buong butil, puro durog. No? So yes, there might be need for some training sa BOC, but if we want to do it, it's a relatively simple thing. No? Number 3 problem, and ito po ay inuulit namin sa BOC, yung pinakita ko kaninang reference price bulletin nila, ang dami pong kulang doon. Wala pong presyo ang shipments from China. Yung ibang shipments or grades from Pakistan and India, wala rin po doon. Sinasabi po namin sa BOC, pwede bang kumpletuhin nyo yon para pagdating ng shipment, madali lang hanapin kung saan sa itatapat na tariff heading at saka ano yung reference price. No? And to make what matters worse, starting in September 2021, tinanggal pa nila yung reference price for rice with 10 and 15% broken. So mas dumami pa yung gap doon sa reference pricing. No? So how can we fix this problem now? Kung ang dami pa rin butas, no? If there is no reference price, who now determines that the right tariff heading and the right reference price? No? Ang daming room for discretion and potential corruption. No? And then, yun na nga, proper classification. No? In 2020 po, 74% of the total volume was misclassified. Medyo nag-improve na nung 2021 pero 27% pa rin ay misclassified. No? So nangyayari pa rin. No? And number 5, in 2021, 20% of the shipments and 15% of the volume had freight costs of 0. No? Imposible naman na lumipad yung bigas dito sa atin na walang gastos. No? And on the average, the freight and insurance costs were undervalued by more than 50%. No? That comes also into the computation of the tariff due. No? And when we talked to customs about this, they were telling us that some of the importers, they asked the shipping company to put the shipping cost under other costs, not declare it as freight or shipping cost. So in that way, hindi siya lumalabas na freight and insurance costs. Wala silang binabayaran na tariff doon. And I don't know, up to now, I can still see a lot of shipments with zero freight costs. No? So mukhang hindi pa na-address itong problemang ito. And then, you should apply the right tariff. In 2019, we lost 151 million because they assessed imports from India, Pakistan, and China only 35% tariff. No? And then, last year lang, may ibang shipments, ang tariff niya 40%. That is the MAV tariff. And we don't have any guidelines yet on MAV. There have been no MAV licenses for rice that have been issued. How come they are being assessed the MAV tariff? No? Nakatataka saan nanggagaling yung basis nila for doing this. No? And then last slide, sorry for taking some time, but last slide lang po. Ang suggestion ko po is i-automate yung system so that kung mas malaki yung undervaluation by a certain percentage, a threshold level, automatic ipa-flag ng system nila na questionable yan. I read the CMTA, no? Nakalagay po doon kung 30% or more yung undervaluation, prima facie evidence of undervaluation, and they are supposed to require a bond before they release that shipment. No? And if the undervaluation is more than 10%, they also have the right to question it and impose penalties. No? So, in 2021 po, yung mga imports na undervalued by 10% or more. So, that will be about $100. 92% po nung nawalan tariff ay nanggagaling po dyan. So, and then 17% ng tariff na nawala ay galing sa imports undervalued by 30% or more. So, if we can tell customs, pag more than 30% automatic ban, no questions, no haggling, no discretion. If more than 10% automatic under review, no. Para ang punto ko dito is hindi para huliin, pero para i-discourage yung undervaluation, because if the importer knows he will have to post a ban, he will think twice before undervaluing. No? Then less undervaluation, less crooks to catch. No? Ganun po yung iniisip ko na huwag na tayo manghuli, baka mabaril pa tayo dyan. No? Hanap na lang tayong paraan para yung mga importer hindi mandaya, para wala ng kalokohan. No? So sana po ganun yung approach natin. And of course, we can always impose sanctions, no? But I think that will be the last resort. And my worry is after the rice shipments leave the port, wala na po yan eh. Dahil under RTL, even anybody involved in the rice business is not required to get a license. So how will you now trace where the rice went? No? Iririsak lang nila yan. Ihahalo lang nila sa local rice. Wala ka ng evidence. No? So that we could still do that, but I think if we can do most of the changes before the imports leave the port, then I think we will be much more successful. Salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want any comment from customs, or do you want me to proceed with all the others?
Sir, may we respond to the recommendations of Mr. Montemayor, sir? Can we see the slides again, sir? Mr. Montemayor, so we could respond to your recommendations.
Let's do it one by one, sir. The 1 to 7. All right.
Sir, regarding the number 1, shipments still have no specified rice variety or grade that were nevertheless given HS code classifications. Can we again be clarified about this one, sir? Ano po yung sinasabing walang variety or grade that but binigyan ng HS code classification?
I can show you an example po, no. Okay. In fairness po sa BOC, they do publish all of the import information on their website. So malaking tulong po sa akin yon, no? For us to gather the information and analyze it. No? So just an example, itong last 2 shipments from Vietnam, yan, no? Okay, lakihan ko lang yung kanya. Okay, Vietnamese white rice, Princess Farnalisa, BOPP. So it was classified under 1006-3099. So that is semi-milled rice, no, from Vietnam. Siguro baka tama naman, but we don't know. It could be Yasmin rice, no? It could be a premium rice with a different reference price. And then you have the other one, 5,200 bags in Esnihaya premium quality Vietnam rice, no? So ganun po ang ibig sabihin. How does the examiner classify this now? He doesn't know the variety, the grade, no? How does the examiner finally decide to put it under 1006-3099-200? No? So yun po ang ibig kong sabihin. No? Hindi ko sinasabing nagkaroon ng kalukuhan dito. Ang sinasabi ko lang, there are instances, then you have Chinese rice. Hindi mo malalaman anong klaseng bigas yan. So how do you now classify that? No?
Yes,
Hindi
sir.
naman, yes, okay, thank you.
Sige, sir.
Sir, usually the process, sir, is that pagdating po dyan sa mga bigas, kasama pa din naman po namin yung Bureau of Plant Industry na tumitingin dyan. And most of the information we get from issuances coming from the Department of Agriculture. Like for example, yung SPSIC po, nakalagay po doon yung description ng rice na yan, ano yung brokenness niya, anong klaseng rice po siya. And then we validate that with in fact, before it is released to the ports, BPI personnel also signs in on the import entry to validate that lahat po ng dokumento at lahat po ng description na yun ay tugma po sa inspection din na ginawa ng Department of Agriculture. And we also take note na pagdating po dyan sa ganyang produkto, mas nag-defer po kami sa mga kasama namin coming from the Bureau of Plant Industry kasi sila po yung may expertise to tell the Bureau of Customs kung anong klaseng bigas po yung dumating at kung akma po dun sa description na ginawa ng importer at saka sa mga papeles pong in-issue niya katulad po ng mga SPSIC and other import documents. Thank you, sir.
Sir, yung sa number 2 po, we admit, sir, na yung BOC personnel natin is talagang deficient po pagdating sa training sa pag-identify ng rice varieties. And this is the reason why, yun nga po, nag-usap tayo noon, we actually invited kung pwede yung mga representatives ninyo to be present during the inspection. But for now, ang ginagawa po namin dito, we rely on DPI sa mga representatives po nila, sa DA po, para mag-identify ng rice varieties. Tungkol po sa number 3, yung complete the reference price matrix. Binanggit po rito na yung reference prices for rice with 10% and 15% for brokens, diniscontinue po. Yan po ay decision ng ng tariff commission po. So ang meron na lang po tayo ngayon is 5% and 100%. So yung nasa kalagitnaan, kinaklasify po natin kagad na 5%. Pero kung titingnan niyo po, pabor naman po sa atin yun dahil mas mataas naman po yung yung binabayaran nila sa 5% compared po sa 10 at saka 15%. Yung sunod po. Next.
As Commissioner, pero yung
Yes.
iba pang mga bigas like from China, wala pa kayong reference price.
Price index hindi kasi common.
Yes, yun po kasi pinagbabasihan namin yung rice index na
Walang nakalagay doon.
wala pong nakalagay. Anyway, tutugunan po natin yun. Pilitin po natin kumpletuhin yung yung rice matrix po natin. Pero sa ngayon po sa live rice kami nagsasubscribe at yun lang po ang available na prices to price dun sa sa subscription po namin. Sige, next slide po. Bago ko po magpatuloy ito, yung tungkol po sa observation niya po, Mr. Montemayor, regarding do sa mga data namin sa website. Explanation lang po, no? Yung data po sa website, yun po ay yung base puro sa mga deklarasyon na sinasabit po ng mga importers. So hindi pa po dito kasama yung mga yung siningil po namin as a result of yung provisional goods declaration at saka tentative assessment. Tama po kayo doon sa pagbanggit nyo kanina, no? Yung tungkol sa proseso na kung medyo napapansin po kami na undervaluation, dapat po binibigyan namin ng nire-require namin sila mag-post ng bond. So ginagawa naman po namin yun, lamang doon sa pinopost namin na data sa website, hindi pa po nakalagay doon, no? Kung especially kung na forfeit na po yung bond o na-return po yung bond, so hindi po na nakalagay doon sa amount po yung na binayaran sa website. Hindi pa po final yung especially kung tentative assessment. Punta po tayo din sa number 4, 74% total volume. Ito po, talagang ganito po ito na admittedly, no, marami pa po tayong dapat na ayusin dito yung sa HS code classification at saka reference pricing. Pero ito po yung tinutugunan natin, no. Medyong ginagawa po natin na tagging. Tama po kayo sa binanggit nyo kanina, no? Pag may undervaluation, automatic po natatag po yun. Ang nangyayari po dito, pag nakikita namin na iba yung presyo ng deklarasyon do sa rice price index po natin, yung ating electronic value reference information system, automatic po tinatag po yung shipment na yun, yung importation na yun. At yun po ang pinagtutunan po napansin ng ating mga examiner at saka appraisers para siguraduhin po na nire-require po yung importer na mag-provide ng sufficient documents to prove po yung mga deklarasyon niya pagdating sa rice shipment. In number 5 po, establish reference prices for freight insurance. Tama po kayo dito. Ito po ay problema namin sa mga shipping lines. Pero ganun pa rin po, kung napapansin po namin na meron po konting discrepancy o may mga kakulangan do sa declaration po lang ng freight cost, ang ginagawa po namin dito, automatic na lang po, charge namin sila ng 2%. Kasi po maintindihan naman po natin, no, na yung ibang mga importer, sinasabi po nila, naka-built-in na po, yung naka-package na yung cost ng freight cost nila doon sa binayaran nila na importation na ng bigas. Or in some cases, meron pa po silang mga ibang mga dokumentong pinipresent. Para po ma-resolve lang ito kagad at automatic po 2% na po yung ginagawa namin dito, charge namin sila 2%. Ngayon, ito po ay sa kasalukuyan hanggang ngayon nire-resolve namin with the shipping lines, no, kung paano po natin ma-resolve ito.
Commissioner,
Opo.
just a comment na, 2% of shipment at $400 per metric ton.
Yes.
So $8 per ton. Ang information po namin from within ASEAN, the shipping cost is at least $30 per ton. I think that will be very easy to get yung ganong klaseng data. At yun po ang gamitin yung reference price.
Sige po, pag-aaralan po namin yun. 30%.
$30.
$30. Apply correct tariff rate. Imports from India, Pakistan will assess 35%. Ang ina-assume po rito, pinagbasihan niyo po rito yung sa website, no, yung nakita niyo po. So in-explain ko lang po sa inyo yung pagdating do sa binayaran po sa website, hindi pa po final po yun. Dahil may mga final po doon na under tentative assessment tsaka provisional goods declaration. So hindi po naka-publish doon sa website natin kung magkano exactly po yung nabayaran nila.
Okay. Although you have a column there, Commissioner, it says duty paid.
Opo, in duty paid po.
I assume yun yung binayaran.
Hindi pa po final yun. Hindi pa po final.
Baka po madagdag nyo dun sa database, baka so that we can help you. We want to help you po sa pag-analyze ng data. But we don't have any idea sino yung importer, sino yung exporter. Siguro we don't need to get that, no? You give us ayaw din naman namin mahalo sa malaking controversy, but we just want to give you our analysis to help you improve the system.
Sige po. Tuloy po natin. Ito po, automatically flag. Sabi ko nga po, sila po talaga na automatically flag po dahil meron po tayong electronic value reference information system. Pag nakita po namin na mababa po yung deklarasyon nila, automatic na tatag na po yung mga shipments na yun. And ito po, nire-require natin sila mag-post ng bond yung sa number 8. Sanctions against erring BOC personnel brokers. Meron po tayo, hindi lang nakalagay po, no, information on penalties on erring personalities. bibigyan po namin kayo kung kinakailangan po namin mag-provide ng information sa inyo. Pwede naman po namin bigyan kayo ng impormasyon tungkol dito. Pero gusto ko lang po ipaalam sa inyo na lahat po yung na-involve, no, na-determine natin na mayroong pagkukulang o kasalanan, lahat po sila nakasuhan, including po yung mga importers, brokers, and even customs personnel.
Post-audit, sir, pinutulan
Tsaka isa post-audit po. Tinutuloy po natin yun na hinahabol po natin sila sa post-audit.
Siguro isang comment ko lang, Your Honor, no? Yung sa post-audit, I think lumalabas po na karamihan sa mga nahuli nyo ay mga cooperatives, no?
Tama po yan.
And we have been telling DA before that these cooperatives were being used as dummies, no? There was one cooperative in Candaba, bulok-bulok po yung building niya, pero nag-import siya ng 1 billion pesos worth of rice. No? Grabe, no? How were these groups able to get SPS ICs? And even I think BOC validates their business before they are given import permits. No? Paano po nakalusot ng mga yan? Kasi po, i-audit nyo yan, mahuhuli sila, wala na naman pong pambayad yung mga yan. No? Bankrupt na yung co-op nila. Yung totoong importer na nasa likod, he gets away free. That's a very reason why he used a dummy. So that if something wrong happens, libre siya. Ang damay yung co-op. No? So, again, hindi solusyon yung post-audit. Hindi rin solusyon yung penalizing BOC people. Madugo yung ganyang proseso. No? Let's fix the system na lang.
Tama po yun, Mr. Montemayor. In fact, 80% po yung nahuli namin ng mga kooperatiba, wala na pong diniscontinue na po namin yung accreditation nila. Hindi na po sila makapag-import ngayon.
Bawal na po mag-import ng kupa.
Tsaka pinagbawal na rin daw po mag-import ang kooperatiba.
Yeah, but pinaltan lang sila palagay ko ng iba pang dummies, no? Because the degree of undervaluation has not gone down over the years. No? If they were using co-ops before, they might be using other dummies now to undervalue kasi hindi po bumababa yung undervaluation rate. No? So sana strictuhan pa ho natin. No? Kasi yung mga co-op na yan, bulok-bulok po yung building nila. Paano sila nabigyan ng import permit? No? 1 billion pesos. No? And I think you also found in your audit that the financial statements of all these co-ops were done by just one person. No? Tama po ba yun? Isa lang ang auditor nila.
Tama po yun. At ito nga po, sabi po ni Depco Marunilla, kinasuhan na po natin sila.
Yeah, okay. But, doon na lang po. Thank you very much again, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. And, we continue to be willing to work closely with BOC. No? Kasi any tariff, additional tariff that BOC collects is for the farmer under the RTL. Yun po ang interest namin dito. Salamat po.